안녕하세요. 텍스함 핵심을 해주는 토크아이티 세미남 고성 PD입니다. 요즘 어디 가나 AI 에이전트를 얘기하곤 하는데 이번 세미남에서는 AI 에이전트가 어떠한 새로운 사업기회를 만들 수 있을 것인지에 대해서 알아보겠습니다. 기업용 드랍박스인 박스의 공동창업자이자 CEO인 에런 레비가 자신이 창업했던 2005년과 AI 에이전트 시대인 현재와의 스타트업 경쟁력의 변화를 생생하게 비교해주고 있는데 한번 들어볼까요?
If I compare the 2025 startup to us in 2005, or let's say the 2015 startup, so if you just use 10-year increments, it is the most different that I've ever seen in the history of my adult life and doing technology now for 27 years, let's say. And it's simply because of this AI first orientation where you can be a 3, 5, 10 person team and have the output of a 50 or 100 or 200 person team. And that just changes everything about how you run these businesses. When we started Box, our rate of progress as a startup was 100% correlated to how many hours we could be on a keyboard and type things. That was the only point of leverage we had, was how fast we could type text into a keyboard. And we could be typing code, we could be typing marketing assets, we could be typing blog posts, we were managing servers. That was the only speed at which we could execute, was how fast we could work on computers. The startups that I'm talking to now, exclusively the case, but let's say it's increasingly the case. It seems like there's now a new sense where the startup founders and the early employees, and I think this basically sort of scales to every industry over time, they're more managers of work, and the work is being done by agents. And so they're no longer rate limited by how quickly they can type and how quickly they can write code and how quickly they can come up with marketing assets. They are deploying agents to go and do a lot of that work. And I was talking to a startup founder recently that, claims, at least, and I basically believe it, he's just reviewing thousands of lines of code a day that the agent did. And the ability to be an editor or a reviewer is like 10x the leverage of the person who actually has to create the thing. And so if you kind of have that as your mental model, where this person now is the editor, orchestrator, reviewer of code, and they can go on and deploy multiple agents, so they're no longer rate limited by, again, like one terminal, one user interface that they can interact in. You can only type in one IDE at a time as a individual kind of programmer. I can have lots of agents now running in the background, and I can go review their work, when they're all done. That's just a totally new form of leverage.
수천 명의 인력을 가진 대기업과 단 3명의 스타트업이 경쟁한다면 누가 이길까요? 과거에는 완전히 불가능했던 싸움이 이제는 AI 에이전트 덕분에 대등해지고 있다고 합니다.
Big benefit is it's giving startups a new form of leverage that never existed in the startup world. Usually you have this deficiency as a startup, which is you have 2 or 3 people and you're attacking some big incumbent that has 100 times more people. And you can basically move faster than that incumbent, but that incumbent can always deploy more resources. Right. Well, we are increasingly neutralizing that delta because of agents. We're not fully there because agents make mistakes. It's not a panacea. A lot of people describe it like a slot machine. You have to keep, trying over and over again and seeing what the agent comes back with. But you can kind of squint and sort of see what this could turn into, which is, imagine a world where the agent could do a few thousand lines of code that was really high quality and it adhered to your code base standards, and it really worked, and you reviewed the code and you only changed a few things. Well, that would mean that you do have now 10x the engineering capacity as a startup, which means you could actually go and compete in almost any category on the dimension of scale and speed, which would change everything about competitive dynamics. And then, as an interesting just asterisk, the big companies find it very, very hard to actually go and equivalently do that, because they have a lot of workflows, a lot of processes that are so wired into how they already operate that they won't be able to make the change fast enough. So you have a window where startups can actually outrun these big companies in a way that was just never economically feasible before. And it's effectively all due to AI agents.
불과 3년 전만 해도 코딩 툴 시장이 커서, 러버블 등 이렇게 수십조 원 규모가 될 거라곤 아무도 상상 못했습니다. 그런데 이런 기회가 생명공학, 헬스케어 등 모든 분야에서 지금 열리고 있다고 합니다.
So many industries and parts of business that previously didn't have software now will have software in the form of AI agents for the first time ever. And if I look at like most domains of knowledge work, will have some kind of agent that is associated with that type of knowledge work. Incumbents will take some categories, but there'll be startup opportunities in every single category for basically building agents that do knowledge work. And the first ones that have reached some degree of critical mass are coding agents. And there's been very clear startup opportunities in the form of Replit, Cursor, Windsurf, Lovable, Cognition. Like, holy crap, if we had said 10 years ago that there'd be 20, 30, $40 billion of market cap in the coding space, and we would have been like, well, kind of GitHub is the only thing that's ever really even exited in the coding space. How could there be 30, 40, $50 billion within just a 3-year period? That wouldn't sound plausible. That's not only happening, but it's actually just scratching the surface. I am perfectly comfortable underwriting a couple $100 billion of market cap in the AI coding space that don't go to incumbents, purely because there's just so much surface area, so much TAM that needs to exist. Okay, now do that for every single field. Do that for life sciences, do that for healthcare, do that for legal work, do that for consulting. There is going to be new AI agent companies in every single one of those spaces. And not only will they outrun the traditional software incumbent companies, they're going to outrun the traditional services companies in those spaces as well. And it's just a completely new environment for startups to emerge.
박스의 에런 레비 CEO는 구체적으로 어떻게 5천 개가 넘는 새로운 사업 기회를 포착할지에 대해서 알려주고 있는데, 결국 기술보다 도메인의 중요성을 강조하는 것 같습니다.
I really think that there will be hundreds of companies that are all 1 billion market cap, 5 billion market cap, 10 billion market cap and beyond, that basically are they're taking a job function in the economy and they're building an agent for that job function, and they're selling that agent to corporations, to services firms, to system integrators, to everybody. And I think you could literally do, maybe Andreessen has one of these, you could literally do a matrix that is every industry and every line of every job function in per industry. And it would be literally 5,000 cells. And it would be like, there's sales reps in life sciences, there's lawyers in financial services, and some of the markets, probably will be TAM constrained, but some will be much bigger. Some need to be kind of like, okay, we have to get the whole horizontal. Some we'll have to get the whole vertical. But I think you could very easily go through the entire economy and underwrite AI agents for any one of those slots in the economy. And if I had to literally start from scratch, I'd probably be looking at that matrix and saying, okay, is there an industry I know extremely well, and that I can go and kind of really reverse engineer, like, what does the work look like in that industry, and build an agent for that. Jared Friedman had this great tweet. He's at Y Combinator, and he basically said, like, go do the job of what you want the agent to go and automate, and be like the expert in how to do that job. And then you're going to be very potent at being able to go and create an agent to do that job. Probably like the best case scenario is you've already done that job in the past, and you just go and build an agent for the work you already know how to do. Second best scenario, have a co-founder that has done that. Third best scenario, go literally find a way to like do that, shadow somebody, do it all day long. And then the opportunity is, can you make an agent that is like the life sciences FDA regulatory review agent? Can you go do I am the legal review case agent,
right?
And there's going to be a lot of flameouts, in this space that are, again, like, they just didn't nail the scale. It wasn't the right market fit. The TAM wasn't big enough. There'll be lots of that. But then there's going to be a lot of surprises where it'll turn out that there's more categories than we think, where right now the supply-demand equilibrium in the economy is actually not sort of kind of perfect as we would have imagined. Where if somebody could have introduced labor at a tenth of the cost that it previously was priced at, there would be actually 50x the demand for that particular form of labor.
That's right.
And so you'll all of a sudden be like, okay, I'm a legal review agent. And it turns out that like traditionally legal review costs, $2,000 per hour or $1,000 per hour for high-end work. Now the agent can do that for $5 or $10 an hour. And it just turns out that like we didn't actually have as many lawyers as the world needed. It was just that they were so expensive, so nobody could actually afford them. And then boom, there's an explosion of this new category of
everybody's filing patents now. Everybody is going to be an inventor of some sort. Yeah.
이 세미남의 원본인 A16Z 스피드런 유튜브 채널의 영어 영상은 우측 상단에 있는 카드 링크를 클릭하시면 보실 수 있습니다. 여러분 회사의 신제품이나 서비스 관련 컨텐츠 마케팅이나 웨비나를 진행하는 데 관심이 있으시면 여기 있는 우측 상단에 카드 링크를 클릭하셔서 관련 토크아이티 서비스를 보실 수 있고 관련 문의는 여기 메일이나 전화로 하실 수 있습니다. 테크 전문 채널 토크아이티에서는 AI 관련 다양한 전문가들과 언제든지 상담하고 소통할 수 있는 구해줘 AI란 공간이 있습니다. 구글에서 한글로 토크아이티 치시거나 우측 상단에 링크를 클릭하시면 됩니다. 여러분의 좋아요와 구독은 컨텐츠 제작에 큰 힘이 됩니다.